Hello and welcome to the Dead Air Dudes. I'm Izzy.
I'm Raka. Welcome, Dead Air Dudes Nation, to our ongoing series of true crime.
Welcome one and all. Now, we usually take serial killers and, stuff that happened in the past, like 20, 30 years before, more on the popular side or at least infamous side that, you may have heard or you may have seen or you may have, whatever. Now, we're going to get into one that's closer to present day and might not have that kind of je ne sais quoi, or might not have that, popularity that we're so accustomed to. And it's not from the U.S. The Twitter killer. More
Takahiro Shirayashi. I mangled that.
close enough. Yeah, he was born on October 27th, 1990. He is Japanese serial killer and rapist. He's obviously known as a Twitter killer, like I mentioned before. And yeah, his the stuff he did was between basically from August and October 2017. He murdered 9 people, mostly young women, including 3 high school girls. Now, you ready, Raka, to take it away?
Yeah. So, in our past investigations of co-ed serial killer, Ramirez, the Night Stalker, the Good Doctor from England, all these, they had some common denominator of having some kind of checkered childhood or very, very disruptive childhood and upbringing. This is not the case here. So he grew up in a relatively unremarkable childhood, except that in his teen years, his parents split.
Right.
So his sister went to live with his mom and he stayed with his dad. By all accounts, he had a wonderful, nurturing, open, happy relationship with his dad.
Yeah, as soon as he grew up, something must have, which we don't know, but something must have triggered him, because as soon as he moved to I'm gonna mangle these names. Before he moved to Zama, where all this happened, he lived in Kambuchiko. I know I mangled that. Tokyo's biggest. He worked as a scout, a Kaori Scouto. Jeez, I mangled that again. Which is basically a scout who lures women into brothels.
A talent evaluator for the prostitute industry.
Yeah,
and he would do various things, not just scout. He would scout women. He would lure them. He would evaluate them. Mm-hmm. He'd manipulate them, pressure them. He did like to have a good time. He did like to hurt. He did like to do different things. Sometimes he would threaten. So he was kind of like a jack of all trades, enforcer / recruiter for this.
Jack of all trades. I like that.
And by all accounts, he liked it, but also by all accounts, he was not actually very good at it. A lot, his cohorts in the industry had circulated a reputation about him as not being reliable, as not so much crazy or uneven or imbalanced, but just he's not a great worker.
Yeah, and he was a creepy guy, a creepy scout.
And creepy is kind of hard to say in this field.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure, you're not great. You're not going out there to go seek somebody who can change a tire in under 5 minutes.
We're not, and not to demean this, obviously, the sex workers or anything in that industry. But I mean, unfortunately, you have lots of unsavory characters, especially in in the brothels and all kinds, in that area.
Now, so its childhood was not marked.
It's got to be called.
Yeah. So so even in this industry, he wasn't the top dog, ace enforcer, what have you. So we have an individual whose childhood is not marked by any kind of traumatic incident or we have a relatively unremarkable early adulthood, late teens. Although he did have one girlfriend who mentioned he got a little weird. He would talk about committing suicide together.
Oh, what a romantic.
As we investigate and open up and delve deeper into his machinations, his inner workings, it's clear that he had a fascination with suicide, murder, death, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, earlier in one of our past Bad Juju series, we did an exclusive on the suicide forest, which is located in Japan.
Right.
And Japan, unfortunately, has one of the highest suicide rates in the entire world. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of mental fatigue. There's a lot of depression. There's a lot of things going on in Japan, which we'll leave for the sociologists to figure out why.
Right.
Know that it exists. This is the data. Huge.
No.
So his MO, it's been revealed through documents and investigation, his MO was to prey on those who are severely depressed.
Yeah. Who were very susceptible to these feelings and felt that way. So he's preying on, he's a predator. He's preying on these poor people who felt a certain way and trying to cultivate that fear, that despair, that depression, and turn it into something that he may find pleasure in, or he did, for that matter.
The second part of his equation, which has been unearthed, he's always had problems with money. Securing his own place, buying his own things, making a living, and making a good living. So with that circulated, it was uncovered too that in his 9 convicted murders,
right,
also robbed. He robbed them all, robbed others. In many of his other dealings not associated with the murders, he would take prostitutes, he would rob them, he would find some other ways. He wanted the lifestyle, he wanted the money. Money in this industry as a scout is good, but as anything else, you want more. So this guy has now a few other things going on here. Now we get to his name, and his name is?
The Twitter Killer.
So this individual not only had one, he had 2 accounts.
I'm surprised he only had 2. I'm surprised he didn't have a whole slew of accounts.
And exactly, but you know what? I guess since everything worked fine, why did he need more? I guess I'm fathoming that his experience with largely prostitutes and women, which is all but one victim, are all women. He preyed on those that are vulnerable, like everybody else who's...
Of course, that's a running theme throughout the majority of what we've, delved into so far. I mean, in particular, of the 5 we did, I think 4 were really into that. Except for the Night Stalker, who even then, he also preyed on the majority of them were older people who he, robbed. And
even in the wild, it's the law of the jungle. A lion does not fight another lion for food.
Yeah, 100%.
They're going to go after the wounded animal. Easy pickings. So his first Twitter account was modified in such a way that he too was suffering as a depressed, suicidal thought individual. And he opened himself up to like-minded individuals to talk, to communicate, and just get things off their chest. So that's his first mode of operation, and how he contacted a huge number of people, because a lot of people felt the same way.
Of course, he did a teleoffensive, and he sent a million messages probably to so many people, and
Now he I hate to use a lack of a better term, he evolved, and his second Twitter account expressed the same kind of thoughts, depression, suicidal thoughts, but was modeled in such a way that he portrayed himself to be more confident, almost offering therapeutic services.
Right.
And here we can dive into a little editorial segment that is applicable to today's world of social media.
Before you go off on your tangent, there was one of his Twitter handles loosely translated into hangman.
Hanging professional, yes.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean,
you just you knew where this was going, and you trying to help people, to help them, some help them to die, and it's just
it's crazy because the most vulnerable of the vulnerable, who, and this has come out during the court hearings and investigations, that even he himself has admitted this. So this is, you almost look at the guy as very odd, but upon meeting him at his apartment, which is pretty much the killing field, they all expressed a change of heart. They didn't want to go through it. They just wanted somebody to talk to. They just wanted somebody with a listening ear. He didn't want that.
That's when he would,
He did not want that.
Oh.
And they were all, by and large, not long-term stuff. As soon as they met and they got to his apartment, last you saw of them.
Sure.
And so in Japan, it gets kind of crazy, where if you are convicted of murder with consent, so this is another kind of weird for us concept, you get between 7 months to 7 years in prison. Go figure the 7-month part. I don't even know how that kind of works. However, if you get convicted with more than 2 murders, it's automatic death penalty. To the point that his defense,
one person, but you kill one person, you get 7 months.
Between 7 and a few years, we'll see how you go.
I guess maybe it's because of how well you kill them, or how grisly the death is. Maybe I don't know.
I mean, to the point that he himself had made a statement during the court proceedings that says, "Well, what these guys are saying is a bunch of horse crap. No, I killed them. I killed them all. No one consented. I liked it."
He claimed his motive was sex. He claimed that he wanted to use the victim's vulnerable states to manipulate and sexually assault them, therefore fulfilling his fantasies, and he'd have to worry about them denying his advances.
So I'm sorry that we kind of jumped the gun. Let's backtrack to victim number 1.
Do it.
So victim number 1, he had, through his Twitter, lured an individual who was depressed, had suicidal thoughts, in a bad spot, yada, yada, yada. He fit the profile. Lured her into his apartment. She came with a companion, male companion.
Whoops.
Yes. Did not like this.
No.
So they talked for a bit. They did this. They did whatever. And then he let them go. I guess he couldn't take on 2.
Well, I mean, if he was, I don't know his how big he was, but he does not seem like the type of guy who could, take on 2 people. You know what I mean?
Right. So he called her back another day. She came alone, and that was the last that anyone heard from her. Of course, male companion, got worried, started calling him up saying, "I know she went to you. Do you know about it?" And here's where it kind of shines for the first time that maybe he wasn't a straight A student. Maybe he wasn't the smartest. Maybe he wasn't the most polished talent scout. But he was good at talking. lured him to his apartment, got him drunk, and then killed him. He is the only male that he has killed.
Wow. I did not know that.
So all the subsequent women that he has lured, same MO, met on Twitter, expressed mutual feelings of depression and suicidal thoughts, inviting them to his apartment. Let's talk. Let's be there for each other. Last you see of them.
Yeah.
Until you get to the last victim. So the last victim is no different than the others. His mode of killing was to give him sleeping pills, to drink, have him drunk, follow it with chasers and get him stoned. And by all accounts, combination of rape, murder, rape, whatever, most likely while they're still drugged, and hack them to pieces. This is a little too late to give you the disclaimer, but if you're listening to this podcast, shame on you if you didn't think we're going there.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Gals.
So
funny, but we all know what we're in for, so here we go.
Dismembered them all. Some of them took the skin off the bone, so they're degloved, and separated them into boxes and coolers in different areas. Last victim comes, same yada yada yada, gets killed. Boyfriend is wondering where the heck she went.
Yeah.
Hacks her phone. So good job.
The boyfriend hacked the phone.
Boyfriend hacks the phone and finds out that she's been having all this communication with this particular handle and was heading over there, and then told the police. The police ended up investigating the phone. The whole Twitter spied on him. Actually was watching, and again, for you people out there that are considering using social media, the police silently was shadowing in the background his account. And they watched another potential victim, victim number 10, communicate and was on the verge of getting to his apartment. They silently swooped in, spoke to her, explained the whole thing that he's under investigation. And she was mortified that she was willing to go along with the sting.
Right.
And when the meeting was supposed to take place on October 31st, they swooped in. They went into the apartment. And here's gets really weird. And I don't know if you got to this part. The police come, they raid. They asked him, all these names, all these bodies, where are they? And Mofo calmly turns around to a box and kind of goes, over there.
Yeah.
And they find nine dismembered individuals.
9 dismembered.
And for the one time, obviously, this individual was incarcerated before.
3 cooler boxes and 5 containers were found in his room containing heads and bones, like you said before, with the flesh scraped off.
The police did something right here by the surveillance and the sting, but he was incarcerated in the past. And he was let go on parole or whatever they have over there.
Shocker.
Shocker.
Shocker. Even outside of the U.S.
So, in killing code fashion, he went on, very similar to Samuel Little, he went on in a non-emotional testimonial, willingly, of all 9 victims. If he wasn't screwed up from a childhood traumatic event, he was wired already this way.
Well, that's the whole thing that we need to get into. And we promise, guys, that we're going to get into this. And we need to have a discussion on this. What exactly makes a person do these things? are you born this way? Is your upbringing, your environment, what causes you to become this way? Or is it a combination of both? Is it the frontal lobe, that's something innate in the brain that's broken that gives you the propensity to have these feelings? Or the feelings or the non-thinking or the non-active part of the brain that says this is wrong? I don't know. It's something we will definitely get into.
There is a philosophical thought out there, not started by me, but I do kind of see the point of view that as we grow in a more industrialized world, we as humans have become more sterilized in the art of survival. So you take 99% of human existence, a male, female, what have you, from birth, you're chasing down a chicken or pigeon, a wild animal, breaking their neck and eating them. You are defending your land from poachers, hunters, ravagers, anybody coming from the next village. Death and killing and self-defense are part of your existence. We don't have that anymore. You go to the local supermarket and all that meat's right there ready to go. You have police, self-defense, home security systems. You have a lot of defenses to lock yourself into safety instead of be ready to defend yourself at any moment, which is most of human existence. You take that out of the equation, a lot of people, quote unquote, in the civilized world, la-di-da, go about their business like there's no way. But it is part of our programming that some people can't get away from. And
Right.
without that being the norm, they hunt. Not justifying it, but it makes a little bit of sense. It was part of our programming for most of our existence. And now, where does that energy go? Shooting hoops, hitting a baseball, kickboxing,
Going on Twitter and,
Twitter.
typing in those 140 characters, I think it is. Yeah.
Goes to show what social media today is or can be used for in ulterior motives. I mean, you can find a date, right? On Tumblr and Twitter, you can find a victim. So buyer beware anywhere you go.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the prime example when, anyone says, you know what, I'm afraid of online dating or being on the interwebs or social media because a lot of crazies out there. Yeah, there are. And every once in a while, this happens. I mean, of course, it's a niche. It's an isolated incident in the sense that they were looking for specific people, specific type, and it worked out that way. But you never know.
Well, mind you, too, this is not down Maple and Elm in any suburban town in America. This is Japan. This is worldwide. This is
Tokyo. It's right there, man. It's a
mega metropolis.
Yeah, it's not freaking, middle of nowhere. What I found interesting was that he did, before he committed the murders, he had told his father that his life had no meaning. Maybe that's a bit more telling than just,
Well, again, I don't want to play amateur psychologist, but the concurrent thing with most people who are in a vulnerable state, especially with suicidal thoughts, is that they feel worthless. Or what's the point? So you've become easy, slim pickings for these predators when either somebody offers you an ear or somebody offers you kindness or somebody offers you some kind of glimmer of hope, false as it may be, and a wolf in sheep's clothing, holy cow, you're easy pickings. You're reaching out to them and they promise you, let's talk things out, or I can show you a different way. His defense of his defense team was that they were consensual.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? In this atmosphere, that wasn't really that far-fetched. He just had no proof of it.
But consensual in the sense, okay, to have sex, fine. Theoretically, I guess you can have that. But I mean,
Because
if you say
apparently,
consensual to be killed, it's still in any court of law. I'm pretty sure that it's illegal every single place to kill someone.
oh, it's definitely legal, but it's like this: murder one, murder two, murder three. You know, I guess somehow in Japan they've created a system. I'm guessing here, but
Mm-hmm.
but the crux of the whole thing is through social media and specifically Twitter. This individual was out there preying rather easily on his victims, and unless this had happened where he got sloppy and there was a boyfriend around that got that sniffed his game out and went to the police instead of going to confront him by himself.
And who hacked the phone?
Yeah, no kudos to the hackers.
I mean,
Usually hackers get a bad rap, but yeah,
you gotta be either super paranoid or you gotta be that guy. I mean, it's gotta be something, and it's usually these guys mess up, right?
right. And
He didn't really mess up. He got caught. He got sniffed out, and I'm not saying he was probably the sharpest tool in the shed, because if you're walking around with the victim on the 23rd of October and obviously the cops saw you, I mean,
well, this is where
you've been walking around with all the other victims as well,
this is where he does get really dumb. If they met you and it disappeared, not all of these victims could have nobody who cares for them. They just don't care for themselves.
Right.
Change your handle every time. Disappear virtually.
It goes back to what we said, episodes ago. I think part of I want to say appeal, because appeal's not the word, but part of the thing of serial killers and mass murderers and the like is the fact that, in a way, they want to be caught. They want the notoriety. They want that missing element in their life. At least this is my opinion. That they want that missing element in their life to be, and that's why either indirectly, unconsciously, these mistakes are made and they're caught.
I think, ironically, you hit it on the head, where he expressed to his father, who probably had the most intimate kind of relationship with anybody on the planet, he expressed that he felt he had no meaning, and in a way, this was his meaning.
Yeah, I mean, it
gave him meaning. And now,
that's why sometimes they don't give a shit for after they're caught. Okay, yeah, admit it, because it's kind of like, yeah, I did this. Now I'm gonna have this is my day. This is my moment. This is why I did this. Now my life has meaning.
Yes, and I think in a sick kind of way, on December 15th, just 2 weeks ago, he was sentenced to death on all 9 counts. He also, on October 1st, pleaded guilty to all of them, I guess, through his lawyers out the side. And he has indicated that he would not appeal his sentence. So I guess in a weird kind of super fucked up way, he got his way out.
They all do.
But
so far, every single one that we've done so far has. I'm not gonna say they've won, because what do you win? But in their warped way, they got what they wanted.
Right, and is it how cowardice of it, similar to Ed, the serial killer, co-ed killer,
Ed Kemper.
Ed Kemper. Thank you. He didn't have the cojones to kill himself.
Of course.
He was big and bad to kill 9 other people as he drugged and slept, and they were drunk. And now he doesn't have the cojones to kill himself. He's going to have the state of the nation of Japan do it for him.
Yeah.
He will not appeal. So it's kind of like, okay, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, and he was even a freaking a wuss bunny in the way he even killed these people. Not that there is, but in comparison to others, I mean, yeah, he went. You know, it's just messed up.
And in the irony of life, as everything is, the day of his announcement, it was one of the biggest news that trended on Twitter, on all social media platforms.
Well, you knew that would happen because, in a way, I'm not saying that.
Ironic that it's the height of trending topics, and it's the mode which he lured his killers.
Yeah, it's
crazy. Of course.
Exactly. It had to happen that way, right?
It's a poetic injustice, if you ever such a term is appropriate.
So that was Takahiro Shirashi. Jeez, I'm angling that again. But
no one's crying. Listen, for all you guys out there, again, for those that are any kind of brink of self-help and is reaching out, please don't hesitate to call any of the hotlines that are available. Reach out to somebody, but not anybody on Twitter, not anybody on Facebook. Please do not find a physician that way. References go on actual credible websites. But mind you, we have now brought to you a serial killer of recent time.
Yeah.
We drew up in the past, and they're very good case studies in different circumstances. No cameras and phones and everything. No, this is today's world with drones, cameras, surveillances, internet police. And he was still successful enough to kill 9 people.
Yeah, and he would have, and if it wasn't for
Abacha, he wasn't being sloppy. If it wasn't being sloppy,
his boyfriend who hacked his phone, like I said.
It could have been more. It would have been the next victim.
It would have been at least 10, if not more.
That next victim who somehow was persuaded to go along with the police thing,
yeah,
she would have been victim 10 had boyfriend did not step in and use his hacking ability to put an end and bring some justice to this world. All right, that is the Twitter killer.
Yeah, if you guys have any other information or that please leave us in the comments. And as always, please subscribe. You get more great content like this, and more to come. We're gonna definitely get into deeper, and more, infamous, serial killers and the like. So, let us know if anyone, anyone that you guys like to, for us to, dissect and figure out. Let us know.
As always, I'm Raka.
I'm Izzy.
We are the Deader Dudes. Thanks for listening. It's been our pleasure. Save the whales and be vigilant.
Take care, guys.